and I believe we are up and running. It's great to have everybody here today on our broadcast. It's great to have everybody with us. I'm going to try and do something fancy, so bear with me here. I like doing these fancy things. So let's see if I can push this. Let's see. I'm still learning how to do this part, so bear with me here. Let's see. I think that's that input. That's this. And let's go to this. And let's... Oh, I was so close. Let me try this. Yes. No. Oh, my goodness. That's hilarious. Let me try this. I think it's super. Let me see. Well, there we go. I can't quite seem to get my name up today, but that's okay. I'm still playing around with it. So thank you for bearing with me with all of this fun stuff that we're playing with. We're getting better with every broadcast. So it's always a work in progress. So it's great to have everybody here. Here we go. I think I can see you guys here on Facebook and on YouTube. And I think I just got that notification that we are live, and I did. Hooray for us. All right. It's great to have everybody here. We've got, there we go. I think I'm live here. Let me just make sure. We've got Janice moderating over on our Facebook feed, or our YouTube feed rather, and we've got Gita over here on our, there we go, I think that's it, on our Facebook. So let me just make sure I can see that. There we go. It's here. I just refreshed the screen. Come on. There I am. And let me get this for the live chat. Perfect. All right. I've got, so you guys will laugh if you come and see what we're doing here at Beadshop. You know, when you, if you come by, if we have an open house or whatever, and you peek your head into this Facebook room, you will see all my screens. It's very, very funny, I think. So I'm looking at all these different ones. So let me make sure. I see Lori, I can see you chatting on there, and I can see everybody chatting over on Facebook as well. So that's great. So let me know if you can see me over on YouTube as well. I had to initiate a new stream for YouTube, so I hope you guys can see me okay. Okay. Yep, it looks like it's going. So I hope Janice can find me over here on YouTube. Alrighty, well, you guys, today we're going to be playing around with this gemstone float, and I think you guys are going to love what we're doing. Oh, it looks like someone's over. You know what? Bear with me here just a second while I go over to our YouTube dashboard, and I need to go here and oh, I see. I actually have two streams going all at the same time. I see that. I actually need to end one of these, or maybe I'll just have both of these going on. But Janice, I can see you. There's a few people over on the gemstone float one too, so bear with me here just a second. I am going to, well, we'll just have both of them. You can see me, great. You know what, Janice, I think what is going on is I didn't close out the stream from earlier, so that's okay. And we'll just go with these. I am going to actually end, let's see, it looks like we're looking all right. So you guys, there are two streams right now going on YouTube. There's one that says Beadshop Live, and then there's one that says Beadshop Live Gemstone Float. And I think we're running concurrently on those, and that's okay. Janice is over on the one that says beadshop.com live stream, 13 watching now or 12 watching now. So if you guys want to jump over, it's the Beadshop Live Gemstone Float stream that is going on. And I will actually, I just want to make sure, yep, Gemstone Float, that's the one. And I'm going to end, I thought I ended the one that was the other one here, the live stream. So bear with me here just a second. So we're all together. You know, I was saying earlier in the test, and of course the test went perfectly, right? Of course it did. But, you know, you guys, we have been doing this for almost 3 years. Can you believe it? It's crazy. I can't believe it. And so we are working on creating a better experience, I think, for all of you guys to watch. So I hope we're making some improvements. I hope you're liking it a lot. I'm going to, let me see, go there. All right, I'm just going to let both of these streams go, and you guys can jump over back and forth. It's really fine. And I think I can see all of you guys over here. So we're good to go. Okay, so, hey everybody. Let's go back to this. I want to show you what we've got going on today. We have a really fun project that I think you all are going to like. It's a Beadshop classic, and you can see we've got our mannequin. I've got my mannequin right next to me, and this is, I'm going to move her a little closer so you guys can kind of see it maybe a little bit better. There she is. Come on a little bit over towards me. And this is kind of a classic, a Beadshop classic, like I said. When we had the brick and mortar, I don't know if you guys remember way back in the day when the movie called Tin Cup came out, right, with Kevin Costner, and I can't remember, Renee Russo was the woman in it. And Renee Russo wore a float necklace in that movie that went crazy. I mean, things didn't go viral in the mid-90s, right? But people went crazy for it. They went nuts for it, the Tin Cup necklace. And so ever since then, since like, I don't know when the movie came out, 94 or something like that, ever since then, we've been making these float necklaces, which I just love. So Janice did this one, and it was in celebration of getting a brand new some brand new drops and things, which I love. And yeah, Janice is saying our mannequin's name is Ming. Her name is Ming. We just named her Ming all those years ago. But this is kind of an homage to kind of that Beadshop classic. We made it a lot with pearls. I have some other beads I want to show you with it. But we've got some new gemstones that that you guys have seen on the website. But I wanted to put this on the mannequin because I wanted you to see actually how it laid. You know, Janice has done a couple of, we've done it on a couple of broadcasts, and we've done it at the retreat where she measures you. So you have your correct measurements for everything, okay? And so, so that's why I put the necklace on the mannequin. So you can kind of see that this right here from the back of the neck to where the clasp is, it's about a 20-inch necklace all the way around, or about 10 inches from here to here. I made one too, right? I couldn't let Janice have all the fun. So I made one that is a little different, and I'll show you guys this when I move the camera so you can see it. And I made it a little bit longer. I have a little more room up here for showcasing a necklace. So my piece is actually about 11 inches or about 22 inches. So they're really, really great, these pieces are for layering. Now, Brittany, you guys saw this on the sneak peek on the test. Brittany, I just got these in the mail, and she's going to be doing these next week. And these are a really great, it's 5 different necklaces that she's done. It's kind of an homage to her Bollywood, but she's using Bollywood techniques, but transferring them onto necklaces, which are great. But all of these make really, really great layering pieces. So I really wanted to illustrate that. So let's go over and take a look at Janice's piece that I've got here in front of me, and I'm going to take the one off of the mannequin. So come on here, let me put Brittany's pretty piece. I can't wait for her to be here next week, you guys. I know that you're super excited about it too. I'm always happy to have her, so it's going to be great. So this, let me get here. There we go. Am I in frame? There it is. I can see it. And I'm going to bring the camera back towards me just a little. Bear with me here so I can reach. There we go. So here is the one that I did. Okay, this guy. There it is. And here's the one that Janice did. And all of the ingredients, you guys, are up on the website on beadshop.com. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about what we used. Now, when Janice sent this over, I was floored. I loved it so much. I thought it was super rich and delicious. And look at this tassel that's here that she did. I'm going to talk about some of the ingredients that she's used. But this to me just looks like, plumage, like peacock plumage, which I think were beautiful. Okay. I did mine. Janice called hers New England Autumn. I called mine New England Winter because it's a little more in wintry tones here. And you can see on mine where Janice used 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 brios, right? I just used 4 of these guys. So I scaled this back just a little. And Janice used the Hessonite cubes, and she put about an inch in between those. Well, if you noticed, you guys, I used a lesser amount of the cubes. And can you see how Janice used the daisy spacer right here? I used the daisy spacer to flank these cubes as well, but I used the remainder of those to come in and add a little, I don't know, a little extra station, I guess, in between. So I'm using less of the cubes, okay, than JP did on this one. And so it really, this is, I've been saying this a lot lately, but this is like a choose your own adventure kind of a project, because you can use, here I am with Ming, I'm going to scooch her over. There you go, lady, get over there. This is one that you can really personalize for your own, to your own tastes and your own likes. So I have a variety of stuff over here that I want to show you guys. I am going crazy with, right, being able to have all these cameras. Who is excited? Me, I'll tell you. So we've got some new gemstones in, and from way back in the day, I've been beading on a professional level. That sounds so exciting. Since 1992. And Janice, years and years, probably 20 years before that, since Janice was a little girl, both on a professional level. And beads over that time, you guys, have changed. They're just not the same as they used to be. So gemstones, when we had our brick and mortar store, okay, we had just tons of gemstones because they were everywhere, thick on the ground. You know, you could find them everywhere. You could find really amazing quality, really amazing colors. Things weren't color enhanced. You know, they were really, really kind of easy to find. I'm going to move these up so you guys can see them. Now, things aren't quite as easy. People are kind of into a lot of synthetic, they're into glass. Gemstones have become pretty um, expensive to mine, all of those things. And the quality just isn't there like it used to be. So when we get new gemstones, we are super picky about what we find. So our briolettes, we've introduced some new briolettes into the fold. Um, and it is these, where did they go? They were sitting right here in front of me, I thought, a second ago. Well, I'm going to grab them from over here on my necklace. Oh, there they are. They're all the way over there. I just couldn't see them. They're the chocolate moonstone, these guys. And it's hard to convey on camera how, I want to say, soulful these things are, right? They're so, so beautiful. And they have kind of an iridescence to them like labradorite does, right? And they just really sparkle and shine. So those are new. And then we've got these peach moonstones. These are new to the fold, right? These guys here. And then Janice found, there we go, sorry, I was out of, and these we've had for a little bit of time, but I love them and I think they go so well with the chocolate moonstone. Janice found the emerald and the ruby. Now these have been color enhanced, right? They just, you know, we're not working with the emeralds and rubies and the crown jewels, but they are emerald and ruby. They've been color enhanced and they're color stable. Okay, so they're just really good. They're just, I love them. And so it's kind of fun, especially, I think ruby is July's birthstone, and I'm not sure what month emerald is, but I know someone out there who has an emerald birthstone, you'll jump out and tell me the month. But I sorted these kind of by color because we have so many color stories with these. Now, we also got cubes. We got the Vesuvinite, and we got May. Thank you, Beth. Emerald is for May. And we got the Hessonite garnet. And that's what Janice used in her piece right here, right? Now, cubes, I know that cubes are rough. Not these cubes are amazing, but cubes are kind of rough to source. They're getting harder and harder, and so I mean, we'd love to carry cubes in every single gemstone, every single finish, all of those, but they're just not quite available. But I did find these new ones, and the quality is delicious. So we added them to our cube family. Right now, I think we're out of the amethyst cubes. We've been waiting for them. We've been waiting for a few of the other ones as well. I think the labradorite. And when they're back in stock to us, I know the lapis we're out of, but when they're back in stock for us, they'll be back in stock for you. Okay, so so we will get them back in, but they're just the factories over. These come from India, the great stone cutting tradition in India. They just don't make them anymore. They're just not done. Stone cutting just doesn't happen like it used to. So it's harder and harder to get these guys in. So that's what's going on with these cubes. But we have so many, okay, of different colors and things. I also grabbed, we have new peach moonstone and chocolate moonstone in the rondelles. And sometimes I think you guys, you don't, that not you, I don't always pay attention to this part of our stock. And the gemstones are so delicious and so beautiful. I just love them. The holes are small though, so we're going to address that too. Okay, But these guys, and we also got the rainbow hessonite garnet. Can you see that? So those are also new. And this would be great in this project. I grabbed a few other things. I'm going to move these to the center table. But I grabbed a few other things as well. We've got the variegated smoky quartz, which is here, which I love the variegated. Let me turn this over so you guys can see this here. There's the variegated smoky quartz, like I said, the hessonite, this chocolate moonstone. It's just, the camera is not doing this justice at all. It's so good. The peach moonstone here. Yeah, Ginger's saying they're subtle. They have subtle sexiness. It's so true. They're so so delicious. We've got the labradorite here, iolite, and again the quality. I mean, and these won't break your bank, right? I mean, they're not inexpensive, right? They're not like, you know, a $3 or $4 glass strand. They're certainly not, but they are a gemstone. And once you start working with gemstones, you know, and there's Julie just over on YouTube just asked a question that I think is a really good one while I'll address while I'm laying these out. You know, if you make it for yourself, it's great as a gift because, you know, you can treat yourself to anything and it's great to do that. But also, if you're selling your work, right, sometimes it's hard, depends on your market and your customer, but sometimes it's hard to justify the cost, right, of a super high-end piece to sell. The gemstones, when you use them in a piece, think about maybe sprinkling just a few gemstones in among the other pieces that are in your piece. Like if this gemstone cube right here, this gemstone cube, sorry, let me move it over. You could replace this gemstone cube with a glass bead, right? A glass round, something like that. And then you could choose a color, like one of these, like the peridot or whatever, and maybe and you say to yourself, you know, whatever the price is of this, I'm going to make this strand go into 4 different necklaces, right? I'm gonna divide these up and use these in 4 different ones. So you're dividing the cost of this pretty bead among 4 necklaces that you're going to sell. But it also, I think, raises the perceived value of the piece. So, you know, but it does take a while to figure out what your target market is, how these play, and if it doesn't play in your market, make yourself something for the holidays that's super sparkly and fantastic, and wear it at your next show, right? I will bet you dollars to donuts that someone will see you wearing that behind the counter or behind the table that you're selling, and you'll garner some interest, and you can quote them a price and take a special order, right? Because that way you can gauge interest too, right? And see if people like it. So it just depends. We all have our different ways of doing things. I am a mixer. I will mix all glass and gem, and I don't know if I have a cool vintage resin bead or something, I'll throw that in there too. I mean, whatever, but that's my style. Okay, so like I always say, kids, what do I say to you? Everybody with me, you do you. All right. I've been having so much fun just fondling these beads, so maybe I should move along to actually get to the project. But anyway, so these are some of the gemstone rondelles that would look really, really great in this project. Okay. So the cubes, like I said, the cubes that I used, I've got these here. I've got so many screens, I don't know what I'm looking at, so bear with me here a second. There we go. I want to show you this, and I want to show you this. Now, I used some different threads, and there was a question in our Facebook group earlier today about threads. Someone asked, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. Maureen, it might have been you, and forgive me if I'm incorrect. But we strung this on our Griffin silk, the size um, 2, the size 4, which is there, and the size 2. Janice used the 4. Let me widen this up a little bit. Sorry, that's why I'm having trouble keeping in frame. Janice used the size 4 over here, okay? And I used the 2 over here, and I'll tell you why. The moonstone cubes, when I was making mine, I was like, I am all about moonstone. I am going for it. I'm jumping in for the moonstone. And I started it on the size 4. And some of them worked, and it was great, and some of them didn't. And so it was like sad trombone noise for me. I was like, oh my goodness. The smoky quartz that I used all worked. I think maybe with the exception of one, maybe worked on the 4. But these moonstones just didn't. Moonstone, traditionally, it's kind of I want to say a brittle stone or a shattery stone. So when they drill it so small that, and also moonstone's expensive, so they want to also save the material as much when they drill it. So holes that I found over the years on moonstone have just been smaller. So I said, well, I texted Drea, we chatted about it, and I said, well, I still want to use it. And I said, it would probably be a pretty good exercise for people to see this, for me to use the size 2, because if you do these floats in a number 2 rather than a number 4, there are a few more considerations that you have to take into account here. So I'm going to show you both, okay? So the Gouda Broad silk that we used has the needle here, okay, and this is the 4, and it comes in a package of 2 meters. When it's new, it looks like this. Here's the size 2, and here's the size 4, okay, and this is the carnelian color. This color, whenever I see a package of this, I think of Janice. This is the color we've used forever. This is the color that Janice always uses. So if Janice were a spool of Griffin silk, she'd be this one right here, right? But what Maureen asked earlier today is, she said, well, Kate, I'm vegan, so I don't use silk, which, more power to you, right? What else can I use? And so you can use this Ceylon in micro, okay? But what you can't do with it, and I think I've got a needle over here. I put one out and now I can't find it because those little needles are so super tiny. Bear with me here just a second while I find it. But if you're using the collapsible, or I'm sorry, the collapsible, let's see, or the flexible eye needle rather. Where did it go? There it is, there's one. This flexible eye needle, you can see it's really super thin, and it would be pretty easy for you to use, but where the thread folds over here, it's going to be too thick. So let me just demonstrate that. Here's the micro, right? And Janice just linked the Needlepedia, okay? If you don't know of our Needlepedia is a great learning resource that Janice wrote, discussing all of the sizes of threads and the needles and all of that stuff. And you can find it over on our website, beadshop.com, and it's under the Learning tab, and you'll see it there. So see how I have threaded that needle. Let me get in a little tighter so you can see it. Okay. And so if I'm here, and I'm going to come in, and I'm going to put this bead on, There it is. Oh, well, I'm an idiot. So it went on, which is great. Okay, that's excellent news. That's excellent news. Can you tell I didn't practice this before the broadcast? So you can use a needle with this guy, but see when it doubles over and makes that leap from the needle to the thread, if you have to double it over sometimes, that thread can be too thick, that connection can be too thick. Okay, so a lot of times what I do is I just make my a self needle using the zap glue, which is right here, and I just use the zap to make this a stiffened end, and then I don't even need a needle. I can just string them right on. And as I say, the holes in variation, the holes might vary on this. And you guys who are over on the Beadshop Live Gemstone Float broadcast over on YouTube, there's actually 2 streams going on right now. So I think Janice is on the one that is just says Beadshop Live. So if you want to jump over there, you can. But both streams are going. Okay. So there's that. So they're really easy to put in. Now you could also test with the micro. I grabbed the fine because I want it to be kind of thin and kind of mimic this size 2 here. All right, but you could probably pop up to the fine from the micro as well. So you can test back and forth and see what works for you. But the Ceylon is a good substitute if you're not into using silk. Okay, so I have my little testers. I'm going to move this over too. I've got some of the size 2 right here and the size 4, and I want to show you what I've got going here. Okay, so I'm going to unfurl this. Okay, so here's the 2. There we go. Let me move this up. Here's the 2, and here's the 4. And there it is there. So you can see the difference in size of these guys. The 2 is much thinner. So before I start a project like this with gemstones, I'll have some, like these are the ones that I've used. So the thread I've used is like way down here, and I've cut it off, and so I still have the needle attached to this griffin thread. And can you see here how it's connected to the needle? It's twisted. It's actually one long piece of thread that's folded in half by the needle, and then it's twisted. So the needle is kind of twisted in the thread, so it makes for a really seamless join when you put your bead over it. Okay, so let me grab a bead, and I'm gonna put it on, and we're gonna just check it. So let me get another one of these sneaky moonstone that, of course, now on the broadcast they're fine, but when I was making the piece was giving me trouble. And see how that just fell right down onto the size 4. Let me, wouldn't you know it? Let me keep, well, and they do vary. Look at that, they're just falling on there, you guys. This just goes to show they do vary from batch to batch. Look at that, it's going, so I don't know what kind of bead twilight zone I was in when I was beading these, but these are really going on really nicely on the 4, it figures. Let me grab, I have some of the garnet, let me test those. Yeah, great, it's on there, and this is on there. So it's always good to, if you pick up the thread in one size, in like a 2 or a 4, it's good to also pick it up in the size 2, just in case you're making a project and, like me, you encountered some issues. Okay, so those all fit, right? I'm going to open up one of these lapis, and I'm going to check these lapis. just real quick, because again, testing, this is what happens when you, or me, when I am starting to make a project. I start to just test it, test the beads, especially with these gemstones. So here's the lapis, and this is the size 4. I'm going to put these guys on, and yep, they fall right on too. So great job, Richburg. So glad, so glad. There we go. Yep, and so, oh, there we go. Here's one. See how this one, that one's just not going over. So I'll take it off, and then I'll keep testing them, and then once I have enough in the side, see, that one doesn't either. Okay, I'm feeling a little bit better about myself. Okay, and as Jana's saying, testing the bead holes it's critical. You can't just test 1 or 2. So see, that one goes on. This one, let's see what this one does. That one doesn't. Okay, so let me move over to the size 2 with this, and I'll check it. The needle is thinner on the 2, and see there, that just slides right on. So having, like I said, some extra thread sizes in your jewelry arsenal is a good way to go. Okay, so with the design that I did, so let's take a look at the differences between using, I'm going to check this one too, between using the size 2 and the size 4. Okay, I'm going to, whoops, there's a knot here at the end. Take that out. Put those are my size 2 beads. Here are my size 4 beads. I'm going to put them over here. Whoops. There we go. And those. So those I know fit. These guys here. And those are my size 2s. I'm going to put these guys back in the vain attempt to try and keep my work surface clean-ish. There we go. Okay. So with the 2, 2 is thinner, like we said, like I ascertained, and the 4 is thicker. Now, with this hessonite and vesuvinite piece, they went through the 4 just fine, and Janice flanked it with these, again, an old school favorite, a Beadshop fave, the daisy spacer here on one side, both. So, and that fit, the thread, the knot fit nicely, so that the daisy spacer didn't jump over. So when I tried it with the 2, you guys, the knot that I tied in the 2, the daisy spacer just jumped right over the knot. Oh, look who joined me. You might see a cat paw coming in here in just a second. So it jumped right over, so it didn't want to stay where I put it. So I had left over from a project last week or whatever, and we've got plenty of these in stock, so I was like, oh, I'm going to use it. So I got the 11 dash, the 2006, the bronze matte metallic, and that acts as a great, not only a great little stopper bead. Hello, Alfred. Let me get him. Come on, baby. Oh my God, all 17 pounds of this cat. You go over there. Go over there. There we go. Do you guys bead with cat? There we go. You go over there. And now you sit down like a good boy. So, as I was saying, it needed a little bit of a stopper, and I liked how it added an accent to that. So let me show you how I did it. Alfred, seriously, dude, you gotta either lay down and be a good boy, or move along. So the way that we start this, and I want to show you, look at this view. You guys are gonna laugh. Here we go, while I get this thread. Can you, oh, you were right here. You were in the camera. All right, see how that happens? Well, what are you gonna do? I don't know. All right. So the way that we start this, and then I'll show you how we did some of both. Here's the number 2. And here's the number 4. And I'm using gray for both of these. At the end, can you see how it goes? And someone commented about how much you liked it. I like it too. Just this really simple lobster claw that's here. That's how we connect it. Okay? And the lobster claw connects right into this circle back chain. It's nice so that it's kind of decorative. You can see it, but it's not so giant that it's super giant, right? Kind of, you know, doesn't flow with the piece. And it's super sturdy. I think it's a nice sturdy clasp. So especially with a gemstone necklace like this that's expensive, you can know that this piece is gonna be secure around your neck. So I'm gonna start both of these, the size 2 is here, the size 4 is here, with this tiny traditional, let me get it in frame, the regular cup end tip. Okay. And the cup, we have them in a clamshell and we have them in the traditional cup end tip. And the way I store them is I store them in our little storage. They're called, this one I think is bigger than little storage, is what we call it. And you can see they're easy to just kind of keep them there. And it's the antique silver. These we had made special for us because it's really hard to find the finishes on these guys. So we actually had these plated, and yes, we had to sort them, and yes, it was extremely time consuming, but yes, we are super stoked that we're able to offer them to you guys. So that's the story about these guys. So these traditional end tips, I'm going to get a little tighter in so you can see. The knot that you need to tie, and I'm going to tie one in the size 2 and one in the size 4. We start by just making a knot here at the end, and I'm going to make a loop and go through once, go through twice, and I'm actually going to go through 3 times. So it makes a nice fat knot. Whoops, that's just twice. Let me go through one more. It makes a nice fat knot. So you're not tying a series of knots upon knots upon knots. Can you see that? So it goes around 3 times. I'm just going to tighten it down. And this is really important when you tighten this up. And you want to test the end tip to make sure that the knot that you've tied, that it's not going to pull through. Okay, there we go, and it's nice and secure there. On the size 4, I think we can probably get away with just doing a double overhand knot instead of a triple. Here's once and twice. Now this double overhand is going to come in handy again, so remember it. Okay, remember this one. So I tighten it down. And we're going to put this the end tip in. Okay, Alfred is entranced by what's going on here. It's hilarious. What a good boy for beading. So we've got both of the end tips on. Now you can see with this one, I'll bring it in, there's no end tip, or there's no knot between, oops, I moved that too far, sorry. There's no knot between the first bead and the end tip, right there. Can you see that? No knot. So I'm just going to put on a bead. Now I have the little daisy spacers here. So I'm going to grab, this is my number 2 thread. I guess I should have made them different colors, but you can kind of see how they're different thicknesses. Let me get that up. Let me go a little bit wide now because I'm keep running out of frame for you. There's that. And let's put one over here. And so now, oh, and you know what I did on mine? Maybe I'll do that too. Start it off. And then you'll be able to see the difference. Let me take this off here. Can you see how on mine it also starts with one of those size 11 seed beads there? So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to take this off. And we'll put this size 11. Now, again, I put the size 11 on so that it acts like a little stopper, right? So you don't have to tie this big old knot in the body of the necklace. I also grabbed something else that I think that people forget that we carry, or that sometimes I forget about using, and it is the 2mm sterling silver and 2mm, where'd the gold filled go? I had it on the table in front of me. We also have them in gold fill, but the gold fill has seemed to disappear into, there it is, it's on the floor, where all good beads go. There we go. These make great stopper beads in the gold fill to the 2mm. We also carry them in 3mm and 4mm, but the 2mm are nice and small, and they add kind of a nice little, I don't know, little flare when you're knotting. So here's this on the size 2. I've got the 11-aught, the daisy spacer. This one I just have the daisy spacer. So on the 2, let me use a moonstone, even though my moonstones were seeming to fit today, which is crazy. Okay, there we go. And slide that on, there we go. And I'm going to get another daisy spacer and another 11-aught and slide that on. Alfred, 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 no one, if you're not going to bead, oh my God, you guys, he's almost 17 pounds now. Can you believe it? Alfie, you're going to get 86 out of here. I know you want to see everybody, and it's been a long time since you've beaded with everyone here on Facebook, but the camera hasn't gone out, you guys. It's just that I've got Cat. There we go. Sorry. Alfie. Here. You can see him. There he is. Hi, everybody. All right. Now I'm going to put you down. Okay. So I can continue this broadcast. He doesn't seem fussed at all, does he? All right. You go. You go on now. Or you can sit on my lap, one of the two, but you got to go. Okay. Back to our regularly scheduled programming before I had catus interruptus. All right. I'm going to put a garnet on this one, or maybe a hessonite garnet, because it's one of our new ones. Okay. We'll put this on. And it just slides right on like so, and I'll put one on the other side. Okay. There we go. Okay. So on the size 2 that I had here, and I'm going to get some of these out of the way. There we go. Put those there. Let me get this out of the way. Now the knot I'm going to tie, I'm going to get up kind of close so you guys can see it. I'm going to tie the knot on the number 4 first. Okay? Just the simple knot so you guys can see it. Okay, here it is. And the knot, it's just a simple overhand knot like we are making any purl knot, but it can be a little more challenging because you're just using a single thread, right? So here it is, around and through, and I can set it down. Okay, can you see where my knot's tied? Right there. I come in with my tweezers and see how I'm grabbing both legs of the thread. Okay, and I'm going to slide, hold it tight enough. I'm kind of pushing the legs of the tips of the knotting tweezer into my surface here. I've got a little paper surface I'm working on, but at home you can work with a pad. See how when I fix that, all of a sudden I got all kinds of thread right there? That's okay, don't freak out. You can kind of open that knot up again and just walk it down, okay? Now as you're pushing, push on that knotting tweezer, pull it out, and then push the knot down, okay? We have a lot of great learning resources for knotting. If you go over to beadshop.com and you go to our skill builders, you'll see a whole bunch of those there. Under the learning tab is where they are. And we've also done a whole bunch of videos for them as well. Now, to make these even, okay, there is many ways that you could do this, but I'm going to make myself a little drawing here. And that's maybe about an inch, or however long I want my pieces to be apart, right? So there's my little line. I'm going to grab the thread at the little line, and then I'll pull it tight and tie a knot. Okay. Now visually you want these to all be about the same. I'll be honest, when I'm working on this and I'm going kind of fast, I do a lot of eyeballing. See, but there you go. That looks good. All right. And I'll put on another one. Okay. Whoops, this has a knot in it. Let me undo that. Let's put on another one. So again, the seed beads also work on this size 4 if you wanted them to. It adds kind of a nice little, I don't know, little flare. I need to cut these apart on your piece. And I know that you've got some seed beads laying around. It kind of amplifies the knot a little bit. I like it. And I don't know, Beth, you're asking how long this line was? I don't know. As long as I drew it, I'll measure it. It's a little over an inch. It's about an inch, almost an inch and a quarter, about. I would probably go maybe about an inch in between, but on mine that I did, and you can see the difference, my stations are a little bit different. So I spread my cubes out a little bit more. Moonstone, stack of 3 daisies, smoky quartz. Okay. Janice did cube, 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 cube. Okay. So however you like it, however you want to do it. I'm going to put this stack on. I'll put another one of these hessonite on just because they're sitting right here. One more of these daisies. And I'll put another size 11 here. Okay, there we go. Ta-da! Just there. Bring it around, that overhand knot. Thread control, kids. It's all about thread control. With the tweezers, push the heads of the tweezers into the paper and pull. There we go. Pull it out. Push the thread forward. Okay, there you go. And so I think this looks, I love the way this looks, this guy here. Now let's look at the size 2, okay? Because size 4 is fairly straightforward, all right? And most of these cubes, like I said, will sit on the 4. But let's take a look at the 2. What if you have to go down to the size 2? Let me put this one aside so I don't mix it up. And let me get my size 2 thread, which is over here. Now, I have the cube, the 11-aught, the daisy, the cube, the daisy, the 11-aught, okay? Now the knot I need to tie, if I just did the single overhand, it wouldn't be big enough, okay? So I'm gonna pass it through once, and remember that double overhand from earlier? I'm gonna pass it through twice, okay? There it is, and can you see how that knot is tied twice there? Again, I'm going to grab both of those threads with my knotting tweezer, push the head of the tweezer down into my beading surface, and now, with the courage of my convictions, there's Alfred hair all over this table, I'm just going to come in and tighten it up. Okay. Now see, I'm going to open the tweezer so you guys can see this. See how my knot is kind of furled up here? I'm just going to kind of walk the thread back and forth a little bit. Walk it back and forth to take up the slack, being careful not to pull it off the tweezer quite yet. Okay, there it is. So now, if I just pull, see what I've got there? I'm going to tighten up on this so tight so you guys can see this. See how there's that opening right there. It's right there in that knot, okay? That opening has been left by my tweezer. So now all I have to do is close that up. I get the tip of my tweezer and my finger here. I push the knot down towards the beads and I pull the thread back towards me, all in one fluid motion. There we go. You'll see that? And it's closed. If I pulled the tweezer out and then pulled the thread kind of at the same time, the knot would have closed like somewhere up here. But since I pulled the tweezer out, put no pressure on the thread, and then came back, pushed the knot towards the beads and the thread towards me, that's what helped inch that thread just perfectly into place. Okay. Spacing, like Julie's saying over on the YouTube feed, it's a little bit of a different matter. Okay, so again, I'm going to do this maybe a little bit closer. Let me measure this. You can get your ruler. Here's my, if you want, I mean, I don't know. You can also eyeball it like I do a lot of times. And this is about 1 inch there, and this is about 1 1/4 inches there. You know, the more you practice, the easier it'll be for you to kind of eyeball it around. So, and if they're spaced further apart, eyeballing it, you know, they can look a little more uneven. If they're a little closer together, I think you've got a little more wiggle room. So see, there's my, I'm kind of pulling my knot to where the inch mark is. I'm going to grab this right here, push the tips into my work surface. Now, remember, as I get a little closer with my knot, I double check it. I'll pull this out again. See, the knot is big there, the loop is big. So I'm going to just kind of push it down. There we go. And tighten it up. Ta-da, there it is. So now I'll put on some beads. Let me put on the, I'd use daisy spacers in between, but let me put on, I've got these lapis rondelles that are just burning a hole on my bead table. Get a little wider here that I want to use. here and here. Okay, this goes on and go through once and go through twice. This is also a really good suggestion. Lori has this one, and several other people have mentioned this. You can use kind of the straw method. What she uses is a cocktail straw and cut an inch long to use as a spacer. Thread it through your straw down to the previous bead. I'm missing the rest of your comment, Lori, but essentially you do that. You can also do it where you have the straw, you cut a slit in the side, you put the straw on, tie the knot, and then you can slide the straw kind of off. So it's a good way to do it too. However you get to your road, do it. And with these guys, these actually probably only need a single knot because the holes are so small, but you never know. So I like to double knot this size too. So here's this little station right here. Okay, a station of 3 lapis rondelles. I'm going to bring our size 4 back in. Where did the 4 go? Here it is. Because I also want to show you another way that you can do a station. We've got another station here. Go there. I'm just going to tie another knot. I'm going to kind of eyeball it this time because we're getting a little faster at what we're doing here. So just that single knot right there. Now, you can also use, and I'm going to get that chocolate moonstone here. You can use briolettes in your float too, if you wanted, in the body of it. And what I like doing is I like putting a little spacer, either that 2mm metal bead or that seed bead. I'm going to try the number 4 to see how the 4 works with this, and it works just fine. So I'm going to slide that on. I'll slide another seed bead on. And this is also a way, if you don't dig the dangle right in the front, it's a way to incorporate briolettes into your pattern, right? And you can just use like maybe 1 in the middle and have the cubes going up the side, or maybe use 3, right? 1 in the middle, a cube, then 2 above it, and then cubes for the rest, or you know, whatever you want to do. But I'll do this and we'll knot this one on. I'm just going to do this one with my hands because I'm a show off. There we go. And there it is. Okay, so it's ready to go. And it kind of gives it a little bit of the thread goes down and up, but I think it looks just fine. You don't want to tie it too tight so that it's too, I don't know, so that it doesn't lay right, but just enough tension on there will make it look nice. Okay, let me go back to our size 2. I'm going to tie that double knot over here, go through once, go through twice. Get our closure going. This would also really be a nice piece if you did it all in tones, right? So if you get them, if you do a selection that's all kind of monochromatic, I think that would make a really beautiful piece. Maureen's asking, the hessonite is usually sort of orange. It is, it's a really good color. Here's the hessonite. I'll put those there, the hessonite. And here's a garnet briolette. It's a little, that one's a little lighter. Kind of hard. No, you can't see that at all. Let me put that over here. There we go. I don't know if you can see the difference in that, Maureen. Maybe you can. It's a little hard to see with the light on camera. But you can see here, that's the garnet, that's the hessonite there. Okay. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice if I do say so myself. There's that one. There's this goes over here. Okay, so I've tied this knot. You could also stack your daisies with this, so I'm going to stack this one on. A daisy, a lapis, a daisy, and finally a lapis. Okay. There we go. And you can see kind of the difference, what those daisies make a difference. And go through once, and I'm going to go through twice. And again, with these lapis beads, you probably don't have to go through twice, but I do kind of like the knot to show also, so I'm doing that double knot. But experiment at home and see what works. The Griffin silk comes in a 2-meter length, so you have plenty of room to kind of do a little tester at the very end. And then once you've gotten everything figured out, you can cut this off here, leaving the needle on the other side, and continue on. Okay, so that looks great, I think. Let's talk about how we close this thing off, right? And how we wire wrap these briolettes to the chain. Let's look at this luscious piece that Janice did. Janice used, what did I count earlier? 9 or some crazy amount of briolettes, right? Just gorgeous. On mine, there we go. Looks nicely laid out. On mine, I just used 4. Right here. I used 3 of the chocolate moonstones and 1 of the regular moonstones here. Okay. However you cluster these, however you make them, I think they look terrific. You could just use a single and it would be lovely. You could really go for it. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 with the 9 that Janice used. I pulled some briolettes in different color stories, and the quality on our briolettes are so well curated. I don't know, that word's used a lot, but it's really true. The holes are good, solid, really great holes. The clarity of the drops are really beautiful. So they're not inexpensive, for sure, but to add a gemstone to your piece, it's really gorgeous to do it. So in these different color stories that I use, some of these have the green serpentine, the green garnet, the chalcedony, which is a new one for us. Look at this, just come on now, that's just gorgeous. This, I had it written down, this green onyx, which is really gorgeous. The green serpentine, and here's the, oh, and these are peridot, these guys here, and these are the emerald. Okay, just in a study of greens, and then you could do the peridot strand, and I mean, we might as well, the hessonite garnet, or the vesuvinite, sorry, the green. You could pop in just a pop of that lemon quartz. It'd be gorgeous, really beautiful. With these guys, this peach moonstone, I think it goes really well with these garnets and with the carnelian, and then with the citrine as well. And then I did a pink little layer over here with the rubies, the moonstone, the pink quartz, and the rose, what is that? That's rose chalcedony as well. Okay, so really pretty of those. And we've got rose quartz cubes that you could throw in there, and then of course the moonstone cubes, which would look beautiful. And then I didn't even bring this one over, I don't know what I was thinking, but I'll put it right in the middle in kind of these neutral tones, the clear quartz, the pyrite rondelle, so good, and the smoky quartz rondelle. Okay, so this technique here of kind of this clustering makes for, as some of you have observed, makes for a beautiful earring as well. So I'm going to show you how I do this. And there are two differences to what Janice and I did here. I'm going to cluster the greens because, I don't know, the greens are capturing my imagination right now, and look at how pretty those look. So I'm just going to use those. The gauge of wire that you want to use is 26 gauge. Some of these work with 24, but 26 gauge I think really matches the delicate nature of the circle back chain that we use. This is the chain that we used here for the closure. So the weight of both of those pieces of metal are equal there. So that's why we use the 26. You can see on Janice's how she used jump rings to attach, those tiny little jump rings. And that's fine. You can certainly use the tiny jump rings to connect them. You really want to make sure that they're closed, not partly open, because if they're partly open, they're going to come off. So I'm going to show you how I open and close those jump rings really, really nice and tightly. I used on mine, and Janice used the smaller ones, 3 millimeters. I'm going to use the 4 millimeter oval on mine, and that's how I connected it to the clasp too, and I'll show you that. Okay, but the oval is right there. All right, so you've seen me wire wrap briolettes many times, but I'm just going to go over it for you so you can see how I do it. Now here's a piece of wire. I know you're going to ask how long this piece of wire is. It's a little over 6 inches. It's a little excessively long, but that's okay. Maybe I'll cut it down to about 4, which is also kind of long. But the wire I'm using is the Parawire 24 gauge. It's the titanium finish on it. And it is a really durable coating, a really durable finish on your piece, so you don't need to worry about it changing color. But you can use whatever type of wire you like, but it needs to be that 26 gauge. I'm going to root around in here and grab one of those emerald briolettes because they're beautiful, and I'm going to slide that wire through. Okay, and see how that briolette really swings on the wire? That's what we're looking for. If you use a wire that's any thicker and the brio has trouble moving around on it, it may eventually crack here at the tip. Okay, so we want to use, again, if I misspoke, it's 26 gauge is what we're using here. Okay, so I'm going to bring my wire kind of across and over the top of the briolette. So I've got a little bit of an X there. Let me get a little tighter so you guys can see that. Okay. And then I'm going to come in with either my straight chain nose or my bent chain nose, and I'm going to just squeeze where that little X comes together to bring both of these wires up together. And I need to squeeze evenly so see that? How it's nice and even over the top. Now that's the hardest part, really. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my chain nose pliers, my flat chain nose pliers. I'm going to grip just over the top of the briolette, just like that. Now with one wire, choose one, doesn't matter. I'm going to bend that one wire at an angle over the plier. I'm going to turn it to the side so you can see where that angle is, and I'm going to get my round nose plier. Grab the round nose, place it right in the angle of that bend, up and over the top, turn, go down and underneath, and center that loop right there so it's over the top of the wires. Let me get I'm going to kind of hold it with my plier here so you guys can see it. See that there? Just like that. Now we're almost home, and we do have a skill builder on this briolette wrap. Now, if I were connecting this to chain and I wire wrapped it closed, I would need to use a jump ring. Okay, so I'm going to show you that first, like Janice did it. Around and get this piece of wire that came around and underneath, wire wrap it, one little neat wire wrap below the other. If you need to close them up a little bit, go ahead. And ease up on the death grip on this hand. All right, this is my right hand, my dominant hand that I'm holding this plier with. And I just wrapped it with my fingers. The 26 gauge is so malleable that it's very easy to deal with. Now, this is where you really need to pay attention, because about 1 out of every 5 I make this mistake because I can't see that well. Is here with my cutter, I come in and I really very carefully, and I make sure I'm not nicking anything else. I clip that end away. Then I pull this one down and I clip that too. Okay. That's right. Gita says we're not building a house here. We are making jewelry. So ease up on that death grip. Now push that little end in, and there you have it. Your briolette is wrapped and ready to go. Okay. Now to connect this onto chain, got some chain sitting right here. How much chain did we use? It's a great question. I'll tell you. Let me get the measure. I don't know, about 1.5 inches maybe. You can even cut like 2 inches worth of chain, and then maybe it's a little bit more, maybe about 2 inches. And then cut away whatever extra you don't need. Okay. So I'm going to get this, and I'll get my little jump ring. As I say, Janice used the 3mm, but I've got these 4mm ovals right here. So first, and that's what I used on mine. So I'm going to get my chain nose, and they kind of, these little jump rings come together and make, you know, they kind of make this little cluster, so you kind of have to open the rings to get them apart. There we go. Let's get one. And I'm going to, whoops, come here. Hold one to the side with my bent chain nose. Push one forward. I can either add the chain first or the briolette first, doesn't matter. Add that on. Now I'm just going to very carefully back and forth ease the ends of the jump ring together, and sometimes I feel it with my finger. I feel it on the top and on the side to make sure that everything is closed, and it looks like it's closed. And with the oval jump ring, when you're doing something this thin, what I like about it is, and it's kind of hard for you to see, but the join of the jump ring is on the side. So I think it's a really sturdy connection when you're doing things that are kind of delicate like this. So I'm going to cut this away. And now let me just attach one. I'm going to go a little faster. And I'm going to choose this chalcedony one. And I'm going to just attach one directly to the chain. Now you could, like I said, use jump rings all the way. That's fine too. But I'm a fan of really securely wire wrapping our briolettes straight onto the chain. And if you make your loop large enough, they're going to have plenty of movement. Okay. There we go. Can you see that loop? Now we're going to add it wherever we want to add it. I'm going to slide it in and see how everything is over here now. So I'm going to grab it like this with my chain nose and wrap. And I wrap from the bottom of the loop to the top of the briolette. And again, this is 26 gauge, so it's super malleable. Okay, easy peasy. All right, and I'm going to clip this away again with the tip, and I try and get, I don't know if you can see that, I try and get like the tip of the cutter to kind of act as a guard between the other wires, so it's kind of laying down so I don't accidentally nick the other wire. There we go. And then I'll pull this one down, come in again, kind of let that cutter be the guard there, and clip it away. Okay, so now there's a little end there that I have to push down. There we go. So you can see I've started to create this cluster, and you could use just a variety of greens. These green stones, they're like magic. There's the, look at that peridot. It's just gorgeous. So now let's move to closing. In closing, I want to show you guys this. Let me get Janice's here. Because it's the same way, closing the same way, whether you're using a size 2 or a size 4. Oh my God, my table looks like a giant mess. All right, here. Come on, stay over there. There we go. So once you've come all the way around, and I'm going to just pretend that this is, let me get a little wider here so I stay in frame. You can start to see how messy my table is. Once you've come around and you've made your necklace long enough, and we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast that Janice's was about 20 inches, mine was about 22 inches. You just need to, as you're working, kind of go along and figure out your length, right? As you're going along and making the piece. You don't want something like this to be, I don't think, super long. I think it's best, resting a little bit closer to your neck. But again, you decide what works well for you. So I need to put my end tip on the other side. So I'm just going to tie one more little connector, little station over here, and we'll pretend like we've done the whole piece. Okay, like this, and this, and here's a stone. I don't know, this one looks like it's a garnet. I'm not going to even put a daisy spacer at the top. And so now you need to, sometimes I just automatically do this and I tie a knot after this last one. You don't want to tie a knot. Okay, what you want to do is just go through the end tip. Okay, and this is something I want you to watch. All right, see how this end tip, the hook is pointing down? Well, when I started it, I went through the end tip with the needle this way. On the opposite end, I have to come through the bottom of the end tip, so the end tips are facing the same way. Does that make sense? So here's this, and I go through the bottom of the end tip. Okay, just like that. Alrighty, so now we just have to magically get a knot into the cup of that end tip. And you've seen me, some of you have seen me do this before, but it bears repeating because it's a good trick. I'm going to come in and I'm going to clip away my needle, my thread, just like this. And I still have plenty left over for another project, right? So I saved the little card and I wrap it around, right? So it doesn't get all tangly. Then what I do is, remember how I said this is a doubled strand of thread? I just untwist it so you can see those 2 plies right there. So I'm going to continue to untwist. Then I will be able to tie a nice square knot plus a half hitch into the cup of the end tip. So here's my square knot. Right over left and into the cup. Left over right, and sometimes on the second one I pass through twice, especially if the thread's a little thin, and down into the cup. And be careful not to get it caught on this side of the hook of the end tip. And then I come back in one last time, right over left for that half hitch, and before I close it completely, where is it? I get my hypo. Okay. And I add just a dot of glue there into the cup. And I tie that last knot on top of it. And one more drop. While I'm at it, and usually I do this right at the beginning, I add the glue so the knot doesn't relax. Okay, but you can do it now too. You should be fine. Then I very carefully get that tip back in there. Look at that, first try. Oh my gosh, I better go buy a lottery ticket. Then what I do, let's be in jewelry making time. Let's suspend disbelief for a second. Okay. I let 24 hours pass, and I really do. I let this sit overnight, and that's where you're going to get your best result, to let your glue sit undisturbed. Okay? Then I come in either with my thread burner or with my snips, and I get rid of these ends. So I've got my thread burner here. And sometimes what I was noticing yesterday, you guys, when I was doing the sample, or taking the threads off the sample, was that my thread burner wasn't heating up as fast, and I'm like, wait, what's going on? So I tightened the end, and that's what the problem was. The connection in the battery inside here wasn't making full contact. So that little tightening just fixed my issue. So I come in, again, it's kind of hard to see. I come in, I place the thread burner right up against the knot. Now I'm pushing on the button to heat it up and pulling all at the same time, and there it went. Okay, and I'll do the same thing, but again I will wait. Now be careful because the tip is hot because you've heated it. Our thread burners, I just had a conversation with our supplier. Oh, thread burners, since we carry kind of the high-end one, it's been out of stock with our supplier for a few weeks. It'll be back in November, so I'm sorry we're out of them. Put it on your Christmas wish list and put yourself on the notification list online at beadshop.com. When you get a notification, an email that it's back in, don't wait, because they go out of stock pretty quickly. I think that since these are the higher end ones, our vendors don't stock them as deep of an inventory because they are expensive. So sometimes they run out, but we promise we'll get them back in as soon as they're back in with our supplier. So here it is, right? We've waited 24 hours. We've got rid of the threads on the bottom. Now we're just going to attach the clasp and our little chain length. And you decide how long you want this chain to be or whatever. I'm going to cut a couple of lengths. And it's a good, Michelle, that's a really good tip. Michelle says she always takes the battery out when she's not using her thread burner, or if you're storing it for an extended period of time. It's not a bad idea. The thread burners, you know, they're not super fragile, but you know, they're and she says you can also double check and make sure that the tip isn't wiggled out. So, you know, those are both good tips for that. So here, I'm going to attach just like a clasp. I'm going to come in, put this right on the end tip there. Let me get a little tighter so you guys can see it. It's pretty close. And I'm going to use my bent chain nose pliers. Now watch what I do. I just grab it and close it up. See how the end tip is still nice and round and the tip is sitting inside the cup? Okay, that's it. You really want to make sure that tip is inside, there we go, inside the cup. That way this chain won't pull out. But you don't want to flatten the hook of the end tip, or else your chain isn't going to have any movement. Okay. Now on this side, I know I have them here somewhere, our beloved little lobsters. If you don't have a stash of these in your jewelry box, your supply box, I don't know what you're waiting for. The little lobster solves so many problems, so many challenges. So I use them a lot. We have them in all finishes, shiny and antiqued. They're not expensive. So get yourself some little jump rings, either the 3mm rounds or the 4mm ovals. And add them, and you'll always be ready for whatever clasping challenge you might have. I'm going to close this up. I know you guys can hear a car alarm outside. It's also distracting me, so bear with me here. It was going off all day yesterday. Chris left them a note. All right, so that's on with the oval jump ring. And I'm going to do the same thing, close it up. There we go. Just one little closure, that's all it needed to be. Then, yeah, and Janice is saying we even have the little lobsters in rose gold. They're really beautiful. And that is all she wrote. That's just how it connects. And then this little lobster connects right into the circle back chain. This is our circle back right here. Perfect size, again, comes in all different finishes. Okay, so does that help, that closure? You don't want to be too heavy-handed with it, right? You just have to ease it in there, and your bent chain nose plier is the one that makes it easy to ease. All right, so just to go over, I'll get you one last close-up of my project and Janice's project. Go over to beadshop.com if you have not already, though I know that many of you do. You can go over to our projects. This is under Gemstone Float, and there are a lot of other float projects that are there. Some of what we call Emily's float, the one that Emily did. There's a lot of really great projects on there. But this is a really good, I don't know, I would call it a special occasion necklace, though I'll be honest, it's super wearable and you can wear it for a lot of occasions coming in. It is a Beadshop classic. There's that one here. And whoops, I'm just throwing gemstone cubes all over as we speak. And here's this one, Janice's beautiful one with the new cubes and just this amazing variety of briolettes, really gorgeous. And again, don't forget about the rondelles, the semi-precious rondelles. And I also grabbed, and I don't know if I pointed them out earlier, our rice freshwater pearls. They mix perfectly. I mean, look at, I just want to go ahead and just string that up on soft touch. You know, you can do that too, right? But Janice, yeah, this is Janice saying she wears her float all the time. It's a really great wearable, beautiful piece for you guys. All right, well, that is it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a really fun ride. I hope you enjoyed kind of all of this kind of working with these small little items and stuff. It was really fun. And that sneak peek into Brittany's, if you watch the test, we've got Brittany coming next week. I've got them all sitting here. She's going to be with me on the broadcast next week for her Bollywood style layering macrame necklaces. Whoops, that's not one. Let me put that back on the wall. But they're going to be great, and she's going to talk to you about some new tips and tricks and some new closures like this. This is with the twisted macrame, so it's going to be really fun. I know I'm going to learn something. I always do when she joins us. So that's everything. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you on Friday for Free Tip Friday. And again, just a reminder, you can find all of this information over on our website, and don't forget about our newsletter, you guys. Jump over for our newsletter for all of our latest discounts and giveaways and new products. We've got a lot of, we've got some new stuff coming down the barrel, and we've got some great specials going on right now, and we've got a few giveaways that are coming down the pike for you as well. So that is it. Thanks, you guys, so much. It's always a pleasure to see you here on Beadshop Live from all over the world. I love it. And we will talk to you guys soon. Thanks so much.